Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. I'm Shannon Grimsley, Assistant Director of External Training and Partnerships for the Woodward Hines Education Foundation and the Get to College program. We are recording today's session and we'll send a link to anyone who's registered. Let's do a little poll though before we start, as we're waiting for everyone to get in. Also want to go over some housekeeping very quickly. During the presentation, we can't see or hear you, but we will allow you to use the chat or the Q&A box at any point during the webinar. So keep that in mind. But we will launch a poll here very quickly as we're waiting for everyone to get settled in. In what year did the American College Application Campaign, or ACAC for short, what year did that campaign begin? Got a couple responses coming in. Your choices are 2010, 2005, 2019, or 2017. It looks like most of you have answered, although I see some people changing some of their answers very quickly. All right. So the answer to the poll question is 2005. So most of y'all said 2017. So this campaign's been around a little bit longer than some of us thought. I was surprised at the answer too, Lisa. I didn't think it was quite that early, but yeah, 2005. All right. So as I said earlier, I'm Shannon Grimsley. I'm the Assistant Director of External Training and Partnerships for the Woodward Hines Education Foundation and Get to College. We are recording today's session, and we will send a link to anyone who is registered. For those watching this recording, today's date is December the 3rd, 2024, and the material in this webinar is current through the 24-25 school year. In today's Topic Tuesday, we will be talking about college applications and College Countdown Mississippi. And we'll give you the latest updates on these two initiatives. I will now share a little background on Get to College and a few logistics about the webinar before we get started. Get to College is a nonprofit program of the Woodward Hines Education Foundation. We have 3 centers in Mississippi, one in Jackson, Ocean Springs, and South Haven. And we help parents, students, and high school counselors with all aspects of college planning and financial aid, and all of our services are free. In our centers, we offer personalized college counseling appointments where we can help students know when to apply for admission, which we're going to be talking about today. Also about scholarships and when and how to apply for those scholarships. Help fill out their FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. And we also can advise on essay writing and interviewing. As we mentioned earlier during the webinar, we cannot see or hear you, but we do ask that you ask questions through the Q&A or the chat. We will be monitoring the Q&A today. Kirsten Dufour, my colleague, will be monitoring that Q&A. And we will have time for live Q&A with the presenters at the end, but do feel free to message your questions at any time. I would now like to introduce our guest speakers for the day. Our first speaker is Lisa King. Lisa has worked for the American College Application Campaign since 2016 as a senior communications specialist and was named director in 2020. Prior to joining the campaign, King served local, state, and national nonprofits and education institutions throughout her communications consultancy, Lisa King Consulting, LLC. Some of her clients included the Michigan College Access Network, the National College Attainment Network, Habitat for Humanity of Michigan, and Michigan After School Association. King holds a bachelor's degree from Central Michigan University in Integrative Public Relations and Public Affairs and a master's degree in Strategic Communication from Michigan State University. So welcome, Lisa. We were talking about earlier. She lives in Michigan, and she said it is cold and snowy there. It's a little cold here, but I'm sure not as cold as Michigan. So thank you for being with us today. Our second presenter is Brandy Lindell. As a first-generation college student, Brandy is committed to helping students pursue education after high school and empowering counselors and educators to assist them. As director of Gear Up Outreach for Get to College, Brandy leads college access and success objectives across the state. Brandy earned her BA and MLA from Spring Hill College. She co-led College Countdown Mississippi with Kirsten Dufour and serves on the Mississippi ACT State Council. So thank you so much, Lisa and Brandy, for being with us today. And Lisa, I am going to turn the presentation over to you to start.
Thank you so much, Shannon. It's wonderful to be with all of you virtually today. I wish I could come to Mississippi because, like Shannon said, it's cold here. We got our first snow over the Thanksgiving break, and it hasn't left because it's staying cold. But I'm born and raised here, as you heard, with like my colleges that I went to. I briefly left and went to Atlanta, Georgia for a few years, but really missed my family and came back to my home state. So I tolerate the snow and the cold. I just want to share a little bit about me too here. I've got 3 boys. That was them just this Halloween. All of their characters are random video game characters. I don't know. This is the life of a mom with kids that are playing Roblox and Fortnite, but they had a blast. And then a little bit about me. I'm sitting there. I went to Hollywood for the first time for one of the conferences we had with NCAN this summer or this fall, and I got to go see the NSYNC star. I'm a big NSYNC boy bander, and so if you know me in real life, you'll know that I follow those boys and do their shows and things a lot. So you might want to put in the chat if you have a favorite boy band and let me know which one it is. All right, but as I said too, I've been doing college access work really since 2010 when I started at the Michigan College Access Network. I was working there running our statewide campaign. So I actually started as Michigan's college application campaign coordinator, doing what Brandy and Kirsten have done here in Mississippi, and then kind of made my way working with the ACAC campaign as I was doing some consulting, and then led into now working full-time at ACT as the director of the American College Application Campaign. So you can go ahead and go to that next slide. I'm going to spend my time today just helping you understand how the national campaign came to its existence and kind of our footprint. And then you'll hear from Brandy really what it looks like in your home state. The challenge, you know, this isn't like new information for all of us in this work, but it's really about knowing that access to college and to education is not equitable for all of our students. And so we wanted to take a piece of that pipeline and looking at the application process, knowing that every student is applying. Students from low-income communities and students of color or those who are traditionally underserved and are not applying to college at the same rates as their privileged peers, that we want to focus on and helping them understand that application process and getting them to submit applications on a similar timeline as their most privileged peers. So that's sort of the kind of like what we looked at as that's our mission as a campaign of what we're looking to solve. We're always looking into what the data is showing us. NCAN actually just put an email out this morning. If you're a member of the National College Attainment Network, showing freshman enrollment, make sure I don't, because literally it was only like an hour ago. College enrollment for freshmen 18 years older has declined 5% kind of year over year this fall. And so, again, our work is so critical in making sure we're helping these high school seniors every year know the application process and get things submitted to be well on their way. Next slide. To help back you up in this information, much of what Brandy and I will talk about today, you're going to need to carve out time and space during your school day to support students. And we know that can be sometimes challenging with administration. ACT has some research. This is one from last year. There's a new one that supports this, but not as specifically. I like this one from last year, but it's looking at what students say they did in preparation for college or what they wish they could have done more of. I could spend an hour just presenting on this. So the QR code's there for you to dive in, but know that it really can back you up in showing that students are asking for time and space during their school day to do the college navigation process. And they want those trusted adults like their school counselors, their teachers, those mentors that are in the building to be the ones to help them answer that question, because they know this is your job. They know that this is like you are the trusted source in guiding them in there. So why not use that school day and that time to get this done? And that it's just as important as the other coursework that they're doing while they're in your school building. So when you've got time, dive into that. I'm happy to talk more about the research or help you digest it if you ever do need to use it or want to use it, and helping make the case for your work. Next slide. So what we can do better too, that you'll see in the recommendations of that report, is showing that we're asking as schools, as college access organizations, that we're leveraging post-secondary planning tools that are available to us. There are some that are free or purchased. You may have some of these things like Zello. Even, I mean, yes, College Board might be ACT's competitor, but my campaign is test and pathway neutral. They have plenty of resources, ACT does. So really finding what works best for your students as we do this work. It's important that we're helping them build an initial college list. Today, I'm talking about our senior year application work and helping them do the applications, but really we know this starts much younger. And how do we start to build things into the school day to support that researching piece and having a college list so they enter their senior year more prepared. Next slide. So I think I just have here just to give you a sense of, as I'm about to talk here, what the atmosphere looks like in many schools. As you can see here, they're not big flashy events all the time. They are students sitting at computers, filling out their college applications in a group setting. Someone might have a question that 5 other students also have at the same time. So we want to have that kind of joint celebration and teamwork together, and having an hour or whatever, you know, you might set aside to get students through applying to college. We are aiming at like removing that barrier of, you know, if they have transportation issues getting to and from school, or after school jobs, or siblings to take care of, or family members, just in general, that they're in charge of once that school day ends. So it's important that we're helping work with them and reach them during that school day while they're together. And you can see even just in some of these photos here of how they're celebrating it, that we'll talk about. And I know Brandy will talk about more. Next slide. So our campaign model, you know, I'm the director, we mentioned, as the national campaign. I am working with state coordinators in 47 states in DC. So we have a Brandy across the country doing this work for their states, and they're the ones really communicating with the high schools that are hosting events, with college partners that are, you know, maybe providing some type of support or resources, information on potential fee waivers, or just what timelines are. So they're communicating with that state campaign as well. You may have community organizations or nonprofits that are involved. But I'd like to always show that picture that we're really here to work with the states, who then can help disseminate what you need for your state. And that's because deadlines and institutions all have different unique factors, and we need the state to really own the campaign. Last year, if you want to go ahead to the next slide, just to get a sense of how many high schools across the country are doing this. We had just over 9,200 high schools in those 47 states in DC. You can see there are 467,000 students, 1.3 million applications submitted. We also know these are undercounts, because a lot of this work, because these college applications are very unique to institutions, it's very much counselors sharing the results back to their state coordinator saying, hey, we did this many applications with this many students, and then the state coordinator is sending that to us. So that does take time, and we know you may miss some, right? Like this, sometimes it's a little bit challenging depending on the states, but I'm really proud to see this was our highest year yet since that inception, as Shannon mentioned. So 2005 is when the idea of a college application day or campaign started and existed. North Carolina, actually at a Gear Up High School, had noticed many of their students had done the FAFSA. They had put a lot of effort into getting the FAFSA submitted, and they had a chunk of students who hadn't actually applied to college and didn't realize they needed to submit a college application. They thought they could just kind of walk up to the institution, much like their high school as their public institution that they are, you know, allowed to attend. So why wouldn't they walk up to their community college in the same way? And so they put this effort into, we need to help them fill out the application and see what questions are there and submit it. And so the idea of a campaign for a day or a week was born and very quickly snowballed. And by 2014, we were nationwide. Mississippi joined in 2013. So maybe some of you are aware and have been involved in that capacity. So the next slide here talks about our host site expectations. For the national level, we sort of intentionally keep this broad, again, because each state has their own unique needs, but there's sort of these elements of, we want it to ideally be during that school day with an intentional schedule to reach all of your students while having an emphasis on those who are traditionally underserved. So making sure you're really carving out, is it everybody's homeroom, is it, kind of taking by alphabet last name of A through J, to give them that hour or two to fill out 1 to 2 applications. We see with our national data that comes back, it is typically an average of 1.5 applications that students are submitting. It's often their first application. So we really are reaching those students who maybe weren't considering applying or were unsure of the process. And we give them that confidence and that assurance that they are able to do this, that they understand the application process, and they may go on and do more on their own after they've done this one with the support of their high school. Ideally, we're encouraging it during the fall, again, to reach students kind of in that same setting that they're traditionally their most privileged peers are applying to college, to make sure they're reaching deadlines for anything that might be like early decision that are coming up for them as well. And again, the trusted adults. So you'll see in high schools, and Brandy will talk about what it looks like in Mississippi. You may have some of the teachers helping out, depending on when you pull folks, some of the office staff, or even volunteers coming from outside the community, depending on what the school needs. And then the second piece that we ask the schools to do is really celebrate that this is an important and required step of the college journey. That celebration, though, can be the signs you saw in that picture earlier saying I applied, or pennants they put on their lockers, demonstrating where they applied to, or it can be a big pep rally, and that's really up to the high schools to decide what they have the capacity and resources for. And if it's your first year, start small with some I applied stickers or something that really just shows that students are applying somewhere, and you can kind of decide and build as you go. And we've seen high schools that have been really doing this now for 10, 15 years, have engaged younger students on how to celebrate the older students. And it's really a big celebratory atmosphere, but they did not start that way on year one. I guess ahead of myself. So here are some of these examples of how you can do, and some of the stickers you can see, or just, signs that are up in those buildings. We have resources that I'll show later, a few of them, but that link is there, where we have just our national resources of like I applied stickers and banners and signs, but states also have things that are typically unique to them as well. And now, oh yeah, here we are for Brandy. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Lisa. Hi, everybody. It's great to be with you today to talk about College Countdown. I hope you are familiar with it. Here in Mississippi, it is our state campaign. And Lisa talked a little bit about how we are doing that nationwide. And we're using College Countdown as a statewide connector. It's a partnership between Get to College and our state educators, whether you are a career center manager, if you are a career coach, a CCR teacher, or a school counselor. We want to connect you with resources and ideas and motivation to help students through the college journey. I'm Brandy Lindell. I'm the director of Gear Up Outreach for Get to College, and I co-lead College Countdown Mississippi with Kirsten Dufour. Many of you, I think, know us. And so I'm going to spend some time talking about our connection to the state with College Countdown and how you can use our advice, resources, and ways that you can better serve your students in Mississippi. Let's talk a little bit about the history of College Countdown. Mississippi began the state campaign in 2013. Lisa mentioned that, with only 16 participating schools. And it has now grown into over 180 participating schools. So it's so important that we continue to get the word out, to let our educators know of our campaign and all of the free opportunities that you have to continue to help students. So we hope you are all members, but if not, we hope you join, and we want you to tell your friends and colleagues about College Countdown Mississippi so they can be a part of it as well. Our North Star here at the Woodward Hines Education Foundation and Get to College as well as College Countdown Mississippi, is ascent to 55%. We as a state are working towards a state attainment goal of 55%, basically improving Mississippi's workforce by degrees. And we are looking to increase that attainment goal in a lot of ways, one of them through College Countdown Mississippi, and that is targeted toward high schools. And so I'm going to be talking a little bit about specifically how College Countdown can help you and your schools. College Countdown, as I mentioned, is a statewide campaign. We encompass all of our college access and success objectives through College Countdown. So college application days, FAFSA days, and signing days. We empower high schools in Mississippi to provide at least one application day, FAFSA day, and signing day. What we want is for high schools to be able to, number one, walk a student through the process of college admission, help them apply for financial aid to be able to pay for it, and then also to celebrate their decision with college signing days. And it truly encompasses the entire year for seniors in Mississippi. So let's talk a little bit about how we do that. We have recognition opportunities. Number one, we hope for each high school in Mississippi to register. We want you to become a member of College Countdown. That allows us to work with you directly and to provide you the resources that you need. We provide an electronic toolkit and posters, stickers, banners. We have member-only how-to webinars and resources and videos, and we recognize you. So we work with ACAC on our School of Excellence for application days, and we also work with our premier schools for College Countdown. So let's talk a little bit about what the difference between a School of Excellence and a premier school. For each campaign, for application day, FAFSA day, and signing day, we select a School of Excellence. And that is basically wanting to celebrate your hard work. As Lisa mentioned, this is additional objectives that you are implementing in your school day. And we know that that is not easy. We know that your day is filled with a lot of unexpected outcomes, and we want to celebrate your hard work. So we have a School of Excellence for all three of our campaigns. We choose that by you being a member of College Countdown, and then also supplying us with data and information about your day. All other schools who are not selected are then premier schools. So we at College Countdown, we select a School of Excellence and premier schools for all three campaigns. So make sure that you are you register to be a member, and that you also submit data for all of your days. And I'll talk a little bit more about that with the next slide. I wanted to let you know, in addition to our toolkit, these are posters and stickers that, as a member of College Countdown, if you become a member by a certain day, you too will receive posters and stickers for your students and for all of your days. And so it's important for you to make sure we know that you want to be a part of the campaign, because we want to help you help your students. I also want to talk a little bit about today college application organizations. Now, here in Mississippi, all of our colleges, 2-year community college, 4-year college and universities, have their own applications. So for every single school in Mississippi, they have their own application. Most of our students will submit using those applications. But I would be remiss not to talk about college application organizations. These are national organizations where basically the schools, the colleges are a member. And this, if the college is a member, the student can complete one application and apply to multiple schools. Some of those examples, probably the most common is the Common App. There's the Universal College application, and there's also the Coalition app. But I want to make sure that I highlight the Common Black College application. This is a common app for all HBCUs, so historically Black colleges and universities. And students can, with one application fee, apply to multiple HBCUs. So I just want to make sure that you not only are aware of the Common App, which is, very popular for national organizations, but that you also know that there are other options for your students. And it's important for you to do what works best for your student population. No one knows your students better than you do. And so make sure that they have the resources and the opportunities to apply to multiple schools that will help give them their best chance at a post-secondary certificate or degree. We partner with ACAC for our college application days, and this is these are pictures of our college application day at Meridian High School, one of our Gear Up schools where we helped students apply to college. And it's important for us to know our population. As I mentioned, when I'm working with students, it has been enlightening. A lot of the application questions, there is some misunderstanding. We in education and academia use a lot of terms that the average person does not understand. We'll have students submit an application and say they're a graduate student because they don't understand the difference between undergraduate and graduate. And they know they're graduating from high school, and so they assume that they're going to be a graduate. And so it's important, I think, for us to educate our students on the language, making sure that they are submitting the application correctly. We had a student not too long ago here at Get to College submit an application saying they were a transient student. Just not understanding what the language is, what it means, and what the college is asking. And so please make sure that you are or volunteers are helping students best understand the application and what it means so that they're able to submit it correctly. And that allows the school to then process their application in a timely manner, and then also making sure that there's not unintentional roadblocks that come up. Lisa had mentioned about college application days. I know that with CCR, College and Career Readiness in Mississippi, that has changed our application days. And so many CCR teachers may be having college application days in the classroom. You may be having college application days in a library. It's really whatever works for you. We have had examples of schools using the senior educators and school counselors to help. There have been some schools that have brought in volunteers from the 2-year and 4-year colleges. You could bring in volunteers from the PTO. It's really whatever works best for you, but make sure that you know you're not alone in providing these events. You have a network of professionals who are willing to help you. So reach out to us if you ever have any questions or you need any additional assistance with your application day, FAFSA days, or your signing days. Next, Shannon. As I mentioned, we partner with ACAC, and one of the ways that we promote college application days through College Countdown is Why Apply Day. This year it was September 20th. It's always typically, sometime in the fall in September. ACAC provides us with amazing Canva templates so that we're able to provide posters, sheets, flyers, and then of course social media. And so Get to College has embraced Why Apply Day in the past, and we ask our staff members to participate. And it's always a fun, collaborative way for all of us to get involved. Even if we don't provide direct service to students, it allows us all to feel like we are connected and that we are trying to promote college applications for all students within Mississippi. And ACAC makes it easy for us to do that. So if you have not checked out their resources, I definitely encourage you to do that. And be sure to participate in Why Apply Day next year. I briefly mentioned that we ask you to submit data. So let me talk a little bit about why that happens. It allows us to determine what is happening across the state. So Kirsten and I, we do co-lead College Countdown Mississippi, and it is empowering high schools, but we're not there with you during these days, and we want to know and learn from you. So we create Google Forms for all of our events, Application Day, FAFSA Day, and Signing Day. And it asks you questions about your day. We use that information not only to learn from you, but also to give to ACAC for our School of Excellence and for them to learn from you. And so please make sure that you take the time to submit your data form in addition to hosting your event. That is the way we're able to pay it forward, and we're able to learn from all of our experiences, and it allows you to be considered for a School of Excellence. I'm going to stop there for questions for either me or Lisa. And I know she has some time allotted for additional resources to mention to you.
I didn't see any questions in the chat or the Q&A, but Kirsten has been dropping some links there in the chat for everyone to join College Countdown Mississippi, and then also for your application data. So y'all check those out. Participants, check those out in the chat if you haven't already seen those. So at this point, we'll move on to Lisa's resources.
Thank you, Randy and Shannon. So I just want to highlight some of the templates that we have and some of the timelines you can see there in the far left of your screen. There's a site coordinator timeline that just guides you on when to think through steps of like 2 weeks out, 4 weeks out as you're doing this for the first time or the first few years and kind of figuring out what works for you. This is all based on feedback that we've received from those counselors over the years and from our state coordinators as the campaign's grown. We also have resources for students that you can utilize. We're talking about the importance of knowing what questions and terminologies on an application. We have a practice application worksheet where they go through and see what questions are typically asked. Now we know some institutions will have unique questions, but this at least gets them thinking through what information they've got to gather and know before they actually get on that website and submit that application. There's a poster here that talks about that you can use in your high school buildings, pass it out to your teachers, your staff, or they can fill out where they attended and what they studied. And it's a really nice, simple way to just show the range of what's in your building and like the pathways individuals took that maybe they didn't stay at one institution. Maybe they're teaching something different than what they initially had studied, and just kind of knowing that life journey that we all take. It's a great way to get those conversations started. And I love when I go even to the high school that's here in my district, when I visit, they have these signs up and it's just really cool to see it. And they leave them up year round. It's not even a thing that they, keep in the fall. It's there always for students to have those conversations in their buildings. And then there's stickers at the bottom. That's what that I applied to college template is from. You can actually also through Canva get it printed for a yard sign. I don't know if many states have done that yet, but it was simple enough of what for making different things and sticker templates. I said, sure, give us the yard sign one too, or even a poster to put up on a locker. So there's a lot more there, but these are the key ones I wanted to highlight. That URL is a little bit covered. I can drop it in the chat here as well. And then the other one I wanted to highlight too, I mentioned earlier, different tools you can utilize. If you want to jump to the next slide, actually, Shannon. There are a lot of college planning resources out there, but I wanted to highlight one that ACT supports, just in case you're not aware. Through our sister organization of Encora, we have the Encourage app. It is a free college and career planning application. And there's a web and an app, so you can use it depending on however you want. The questions are the same, the way it operates is the same. But students can go ahead and get in there and do their college list building. They can look for scholarships. They can kind of discover what majors they might be interested in or careers. It's a really nice tool if you're not already utilizing one. So I know if your school is embedded in one and you I use what works for you, but if you aren't, happy with what you've got, or if you don't have something like this, please know it's free. There's an educator side of it as well. If you want to jump to the next slide, where you can go in and track your students, also free for you as well. Because it's tied to ACT, you can get your My ACT. If you register through My ACT first, it will then also connect you right into creating an Encourage profile, and you'll see your ACT scores already in there. And then we've got lesson plans for you as an educator to guide students through utilizing the app. There's a family guide if anybody's also using it kind of with their loved ones outside of school that you can go ahead and download from that QR code. So I just wanted to highlight those because I know, especially being an ACT state for Mississippi, that this is a nice tool that's free to use for you, free for your students. That I would encourage you to dive into. And if you want to know more about that, I can get you connected with my colleagues who can actually get you onboarded into using that platform. Then I think my last slide is just helping you if you want to subscribe for the AC. AC has a newsletter. Our next one actually goes out this week on Thursday. If you want to get on that today or tomorrow to be able to receive that. You can follow us on social. We're sharing those things that Brandy mentioned of some of the why applies to get engaged that way. And my email address if you have any questions for me.
All right. Thank you all so much. I hope that everybody found this information very useful. If Lisa or Brandy, if y'all need to drop anything in the chat, feel free to do so as we close out. Like I said, Kirsten has dropped a few things in as well. So thank y'all again for this information. Everyone who is listening, we will email you this recording in the next couple of days and also post it on our YouTube channel. If you have any follow-up questions on the information provided in today's webinar, feel free to contact us at Get to College or either of the presenters. So today was the 5th and final session of our fall Topic Tuesday series. So I can't believe it's December already. So we're done with our fall sessions. So stay tuned for our first Spring Topic Tuesday webinar, which will be on Tuesday, January the 14th. We're going to have it a little bit later in the month of January just because everybody's getting back to school. And during that webinar, you will hear updates about supporting students with intellectual disabilities with their transition to post-secondary. So that is our first one. And you can see the other presentation or Topic Tuesdays that we'll have in February, March, April, and May. And we will continue this webinar through that spring semester. And if you participate in 5 webinars, you'll have the opportunity to apply for 0.5 CEUs. And if you've participated in all 10, which include all 5 fall and all 5 spring, you will get the opportunity to apply for 1 full CEUs. So these webinars are listed under the educator section of the Get to College website, and then select Topic Tuesday under the event section. While you are there registering, please check out all the other resources, many that Brandy referred to earlier in the webinar that are there for you and your students, listed under that educator tab and the College Countdown tab as well. And we'll have lots of training opportunities continuing through the spring semester. and we'll hope that you will register for as many of those as possible. And speaking of those training opportunities, we will be hosting 2 more FAFSA 101 trainings. We know the FAFSA opened a little bit earlier than December 1st, so we are already rolling over here, completing FAFSAs, and we know many of you all are as well in your high schools or will be as soon as the spring semester starts. So join us for either one of our last FAFSA 101 training sessions for the year. On Tuesday, January 21st, we'll have one from 9 to 11:30. And then in February, on Thursday, February the 13th, we'll be having an afternoon session from 1 to 3:30. So you have a choice there of morning or afternoon for those. Then we will also be hosting, actually this week, on this Thursday, our FAFSA 201 trainings. So for 201, these are going to be scenario based. They're going to go a good bit more in depth than that FAFSA 101, and it builds on the knowledge that you got in the FAFSA 101 training. So if you haven't done FAFSA 101, you can still do FAFSA 201, but it's preferable to grab that 101 first before you do the 201. So this Thursday, join us. It's not too late to register for this week from 9 to 11:30. And then we'll be having another one in February, which I think will be helpful because you'll already be into your FAFSA completion at your high schools pretty deeply and may have questions about specific scenarios. So I think this 201 will really be helpful for you as you begin that. So that's Wednesday, February the 19th. All right, so that's all we have for you all today. Again, thank you all so much for being here. If you have any follow-up questions, you can contact us at any point. And thank you so much for joining us this fall. We've really enjoyed it, and we look forward to all of the spring webinars that we have scheduled in the spring semester, and we hope that everyone has a great holiday break and gets the rest and rejuvenation that you need. So thanks so much, and we'll see you all in the spring.